So yeah, I just wanted to make a reaction on this uh, news, or not news. It's called a what life is like for undocumented workers in Canada. Para lang aware ang ating mga kababayan na it's not uh, all in vain, or lahat din may pag-asa. May kwento ito yung nagtatrabaho sa Toronto Raptors. Kinikwento niya yung kanyang karanasan na una undocumented siya. Tapos ngayon Canadian citizen na siya. Nakuha niya noong 2015. Nagtrabaho siya. It's nag-go through siya ng maraming pagsubok, pero hindi lahat ay ang kwento niya ay successful kagaya ng sa kanya. So panoorin natin 'to, mga kababayan.
They live in the shadows. Hundreds of thousands of people across Canada. Afraid to emerge. They are undocumented. Not supposed to be here. Living and working in secret.
Es fuerte tener que lidiar todos los días.
Amelia is one of them, a single mom from Mexico cleaning an Airbnb in a big Canadian city. We aren't using her real name or showing her face because she's undocumented.
Y afirmo que Canadá es un muy...
So yan ang isa sa mga problema pagka undocumented ka, or T&T sa Tagalog, tago ng tago, ay masyado kang paranoid sa mga pangyayari sa paligid mo.
muy buen país, pero que a veces, o si no, todo el tiempo, el sistema nos ve como fantasmas, no existimos.
When we think of a workforce of ghosts doing manual labor, the jobs many don't want to do, we usually think of the United States and its racially charged debate about what to do with 11 million people in that country illegally. But Canada has an extensive underground economy too, and in the face of changing immigration attitudes and policy, workers are coming out of the shadows, asking that their voices be heard.
La causa principal fue, o la decisión fue porque nuestra vida sí estaba en peligro, o está en peligro.
Amelia left Mexico 5 years ago on a tourist visa, fleeing cartels, she says. She's too scared to return. She has 2 kids, a 15-year-old born in Mexico and a 2-year-old born here with autism.
I just wanted to share sa Mexico, ang cartel is yung mga humihingi ng mga protection money or sa mga businesses, right? And they sell drugs as well. So it's like a normal thing for the cartel to exist sa Mexico, right? Hindi sila yung nilalabanan sila ng gobyerno. Ayon to sa yung nakausap ko, yung taxi driver na nagkwentuhan kami sa Mexico. Cartel, they won't let you, they're not gonna really touch you or make terrorists, kasi they're running it as a business, right? So yun, parang tumutulong din sa economy, I guess, kaya hindi sila ginagalaw ng gobyerno. And just comment if you think I'm wrong, right?
Autism. They live in a 1-room basement apartment. She works 7 days a week.
Mi trabajo es haciendo limpieza, en postconstrucción, limpieza de casas, limpiezas de Airbnbs. Conforme se vaya prestando el trabajo es como yo voy adquiriendo.
If you're undocumented, how do they pay you?
cash.
No one really knows how many undocumented people are in Canada. The government estimates there are up to 500.
So cash kasi walang trace ng through card, through a bank card, bank remittance or check, right? So cash is king for undocumented work.
Thousand. Migrant groups say it could be higher.
This isn't about people pouring over the border. Many people become undocumented because they stay longer than they're legally allowed to. Say someone doesn't return to their home country after an asylum claim is denied, or stays after their student, visitor, or temporary worker status expires. Everyone has a different story about how they ended up living in the shadows. The man leading this iconic Canadian cheer lived for years with a secret.
Basketball fans, welcome into Canada's home for talking hoops. This is The Hangout. I am Akil Augustine.
Basketball fans know Akil Augustine as a courtside star, host for NBA Canada. But before all of that, Augustine was a kid from Trinidad and Tobago, without papers, undocumented. He was brought to Canada when he was 4 to live with an aunt. He didn't find out he was undocumented until his friends started getting jobs.
And as like weeks go on, you keep asking questions, then you realize, oh, no one knows what the hell's going on. And so I finally figured out, yeah, I'm undocumented. And
what was that realization like?
well, it's bad news, so it's scary.
Yeah.
Your stomach drops a couple floors.
The hardest part was getting sick and no health card.
I remember one time I got the flu and my family was away. And
So yun, pagka undocumented ka, wala kang SIN number, so you cannot work. Wala kang health card, so you cannot go to a walk-in clinic and see the doctor. Yun lang. What you can do is just, you have to have money, maybe cash to buy food and exist in Canada, right?
it was the worst flu I ever had, and I knew I couldn't go to the doctor. And so I was alone in the house, and I remember it took me a whole day to get back up the stairs. So I'd take like one flight of stairs, and I'd be out for like an hour. I was just so out of breath, I couldn't breathe. I think that was probably one of the scarier moments.
It took a decade to navigate a path to citizenship, thanks to community connections, lawyers, teachers, mentors. They made an application for status under humanitarian and compassionate grounds.
Well, this is probably the most important thing I own, which is my certificate of Canadian citizenship, which I got back in 2015.
So, nag-ano siya ng lawyer, hire siya ng lawyer. And being 4-year-old and living his whole life here, it's under compassionate grounds, right? Humanitarian and compassionate grounds. So, nakuha niya yung kanyang Canadian citizenship for being that. Kasi ang country of Canada is very compassionate sa mga, sa mga naaapi, mga refugees. Ganyan, right? So, tuloy natin.
You ever play tag? Home safe?
Yeah.
It's kind of like home safe.
Now he works to help other undocumented people get status.
I can provide anecdotal evidence that if you bring a little kid from Trinidad who doesn't know much and raise him in Canada under the great education system and support systems that we have, he can flourish and add things to our society. That's what I know.
How to deal with hundreds of thousands of undocumented people is a political and social problem for Ottawa. Increasingly, the government is sending them home. In the last fiscal year, Canada Border Services says more than 15,000 people were deported for breaking immigration rules.
We've seen significant numbers of deportation, I think historic highs, the numbers of removals from this country this year. We're very serious about that.
That's a shift in priority. When he got the job 3 years ago, Immigration Minister Mark Miller was told to explore ways of regularizing status for undocumented workers. 3 years later, it's not on the table.
There's no consensus at this time as to what to do.
We are the people you're trying to kick out of the country. We are human beings, and we are not taps to be turned on and off.
A group of undocumented
So yan, yung mga undocumented workers, they're trying to give message to the Minister of Immigration. Now we are human beings, and showing their face to the minister will probably get him pissed off, right? So lalo siyang ginugulo niya yung kanyang sitwasyon, I think.
documented workers is fighting for status. Manaya Jess joined this protest in Ottawa, even though by being here, by showing her face, she risks being sent back to Jamaica.
I'm here fighting for status for everyone, every migrant in this country. I came here as a migrant farm worker, and I was physical and verbally mistreated.
Jess came to Canada twice as a temporary farm worker picking apples. The third time she came to Canada, she worked on a strawberry farm.
For a Canadian that doesn't know about picking strawberry, it's a really hard work.
Shortly after arriving at the farm, she got hurt. She says her employer wouldn't help her get medical attention.
So they were robbing me from my rights, what I deserve.
So she left the job, but not the country, and began to live in the shadows.
Every morning, she walks through this forest near her home, imagining what it would be like if her children could join her.
My youngest son don't know me, so it's not much relationship there because I left him when he was so small. So it's hard.
So everyone has its own struggle, right? Every individual, and everyone has a different yung kanilang pathway papunta rito, but let's just all be fair sa mga pumunta dito ng legal, paid their fees and everything, and not going into a shortcut na hindi nagbabayad ng fees and just getting compassionate ground from the government. But every individual has a different situation, right? So we'll see how it goes.
And it could get harder. Canadian attitudes towards immigration, both legal and illegal, are changing.
We didn't get the balance quite right.
In October, the government announced plans.
So partly it's the government's fault na nagpapunta dito na napakaraming. At first, I guess they came in as tourist visa kasi may status naman sila nung nakapunta rito, and then nung nag-expired, and I guess they didn't renew or restore their status. So that's why they're undocumented, because they let their status expired and looking for ways to get documented again, to be legal in status again, right?
Plans to cut back on legal immigration. Akil Augustine feels the pushback against immigration growing, and he gets it.
It's fear. If the economy is shrinking and you may not be gainfully employed, and new people are coming into your neighborhood and taking government money for social services and stuff that you feel you should be entitled to, that will bother somebody. And I don't know that that's based solely in racism as much as it's based in the fight for survival for you and your families.
Well, it's just based on economy, right? For law of supply and demand. If like the first Canadians who contributed a lot of their money for working their whole life in Canada, and they see all these things happening, new undocumented immigrants are getting housed in the hotel or refugees. It's tax dollars is not working for them, it's working for for the outsiders. So they felt being betrayed by their government. If that's the case, right?
Amelia feels that attitude too.
Algo nos trajo aquí. La necesidad, a lo mejor la persecución, otras veces el racismo. Todo el mundo viene por una circunstancia, a cambiar su vida y a nombrar aquí Canadá tu hogar.
And for that chance, however slim, it's worth living in fear, hiding like a ghost.
So yeah, it's I guess they're trying to gamble their fate into the system, right? So I just wanted to just give my opinion. If you've been here longer and you're a Canadian citizen, and then all of a sudden you see all this new immigrants coming in, that means competition to the jobs that are available. But there's always ongoing jobs coming and going, right? So it's just the wage are not gonna go up because there's so much competition. They get rather the big companies who are the payer for the salaries or wages will give it to the people who are willing to take the low wage, right? So, and then of course, for being so many people in the pool, people competing, then the people who are who are taking the end of the thread uh, will get the job, right? So, yun lang ang aking opinion about this. So, hopefully, yung mga undocumented, they have good luck and they can be documented through the legal process. Okay, thank you.